Welcome to part 4, guys, of the video on the MP4-30 McLaren Gravity Colors project buildup I'm doing. Last time we talked, or we were on the video here, we got all the primer on. And as you can see here, primer's all on, it's nice and even. It needs a slight bit of wet sanding, just a little bit in a few areas, but I'll probably go over it, the whole piece of it here. And I got all the other pieces that you see on the sides here, all the small barge boards and rear wing ends and rear wing itself. Lots of little pieces that are all primed up, ready to be painted. I won't hit many of those things too much with sandpaper. I really don't want to burn any of the primer off. You will find, even with Gravity, a lot of colors out there that are with primers that you can burn them right off the car pretty easy. The only ones that don't burn off the car or come off with wet sanding at a fast rate are probably your two-part epoxy primers, which are obviously, just like they say, a two-part. It's the actual paint and a catalyst mixed together to harden the primer, and that stuff's like a rock. But that's automotive grade. You have to buy it at an automotive shop. It really smells horrid. Good stuff. I've used it before, but it'll kill you as far as your nose when you're using that stuff. So we're going to stick with the Gravity stuff, and what I'm going to do is do a light sanding on this primer, which you can see is real smooth. I mean, it's pretty darn nice just the way it is. But what I'm going to do, like I mentioned, I think in the video on his paint, is I'm going to go over with a little bit of 4000. And again, I'm using, I'll pull it over here, I'm using just some water and those 4000 pads that I have, and I'm just going to go over them. I've got a towel handy right here on the edge so that I can just wipe it down. And I'm going to run across it real easy. Real nice and light. You don't have to go crazy. Get in all the areas. What you don't want to do is press too hard, stay in one area too long, or you're going to burn the primer right off the car. You don't want to do that. You want to get it smooth, but yet keep the primer on the car. If you do burn through a little bit, it's not a problem if you're doing, dark colors, because it won't show up. But if you're doing a light, say you're doing white primer, and you're using, in your wet sanding, the white primer, and say the body below it's gray, don't burn through that white, because then your white base coat may not cover or go evenly over that area, and you'll have a shadowy effect, or an area where that base coat just does not cover that for you. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm just going to take my rag here. I'm going to wipe it down a little bit and check my work. And you'll see when you're using the 4000, especially, that your primer actually gets a shine to it a little bit. See how it's got a little bit of a shine to it? That's good. There's not a problem with that. The shinier and smoother, the better for the base coat, especially if you're using metallic like I'll be using. So I just go over it, look at some other areas, do a light pass on areas. Like I said, don't spend too much time on the real sharp edges, because you will burn through. And just get it all even and smooth as much as possible. This is the easy part, really. As long as you don't burn through it anywhere, you'll be fine. And again, if I burn through on this, I'm not that worried, because I'm putting such a dark, almost black, over this car. So it's not a big deal. Do this up here a little bit. And as you're going through, you're checking your work, too. You can see, if you put a gloss on the body with the primer, with the 4000 a little bit, you get an idea of how it's going to actually look once it is real shiny and smooth. It gives you an idea if there's any areas that you need to work on or any flaws you have in the body. This one's pretty darn nice so far, so I'm really pleased with it. And you go over it, and when you're done, you take the towel, you wipe it off. I would not go any finer, or any coarser, I should say, than probably 2000. If you're going to use, if you want to cut through something, maybe you've built a lot of primer up on an area and you want to cut through a little bit and smooth it out faster than what 4000 does, use some 2000. You don't have to get these pads either. You can just use 2000 sandpaper. You can buy it at any local hardware store, like, or auto parts store, like Advanced Auto Parts has 3M and all different types of grades from 320 all the way on up. So if you need to use that, you can do it. But 320 is probably would just take this primer right off the car in a heartbeat, and it would be way too coarse. So you see it's getting a nice little shine to it, and I like that. I mean, that's what I want, is that nice, real smooth finish for the base coat to go on. So I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to go ahead and get everything wiped down, sanded, wet sanded a bit, just to give it a nice, even, smooth finish, even more than it already is. Incidentally, guys, I really could have just painted this without it. I mean, the primer is that good that I didn't have to wet sand if I didn't want to, but I want it to be really smooth for that base coat. And I'm going to get the other pieces ready. Like I said, I'm not going to touch the other ones too much. And then we're ready to lay on the base coat, which is our McLaren Honda Graphite GC 250 from Gravity Colors. And I'll be doing that with the airbrush. So join me in a few minutes outside in the spray booth again to put on the base coat. And you'll see I put it on the same way I did the primer. Nice light coats just to get a little bite of coverage. And then I'll start putting in, more of the paint in areas where I want to make sure I get really good coverage with this stuff. And it will go on very easily and cover very well, just like it is. You don't have to be an expert at putting on gravity paint. It's pretty easy stuff to apply. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Even texture. Laid it on there nice and smooth. Just going for main coverage here. Nothing extravagant here. I don't want to just lay it on. Remember, this whole bottom piece right here, this area right there, is going to be carbon fiber. So I'll be laying decal on for that, making a template. We'll get to making templates with carbon fiber decals a little later on one of my other parts. But again, I'm just laying this on nice and easy. Real nice color. Starting to build up a lot now too, as you lay it on. Gorgeous color. Gravity Colors are probably one of the most accurate colors around, or paint companies around, that give you accurate race and street colors, Mopar, muscle colors. But race colors are cool too. What a color. Really nice. Hope you can see that. You want to get your edges really good too, so everything gets a nice even coverage. Nothing's left out. Love the color. Alright, well I'm out of paint on this one. That's the first coat. It's almost covered perfectly. Really nice finish on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put another decent coat on this. Finish up the other small parts. Get them all in this Gravity Colors Graphite McLaren color. And set it aside to dry until the next part. Thanks for watching.